Hi everyone, Kenzie here and welcome to the first Bake Along for Saints Foundation's Big Saints Bake Off. Now today I'm going to be showing you how to make a basic recipe for both a Victoria sponge and basic cupcakes. So it's super simple, everyone can get involved with this, and of course most importantly it's so much fun to bake along with. So literally all you're going to need is 8 ounces of self-raising flour. You're going to need 8 ounces of unsalted butter or margarine, 8 ounces of caster sugar and 4 eggs. So all equal quantities. This makes a 2-tier cake or about 12 cupcakes. But if you want to be really extreme and make a 3-tier cake, you can go for it by making the quantities 12 ounces of everything and 6 eggs. So let's get started. As I said, this is so simple. Anyone can get involved with this one. And we're going to start with our sugar and our butter in the same bowl. And the first thing we're going to want to do is cream that all together. So I'm just going to get that going now. So you just want to work that in. We don't want to overwork our mixture, but we want a nice smooth mixture as well. We don't want any lumps. Now, if there are any bakers out there, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Obviously, this is for our wonderful Saints Foundation, so make sure you're getting involved, get the kids involved, get the neighbours involved, and see what you can come up with. As I said, this is a really basic recipe, but you can have fun with it. If you fancy adding a little bit of cocoa powder in there, you can do to make it a bit chocolatey. You can add a bit of vanilla extract to add a bit more of flavour in there. So just be creative and enjoy it. That is the most important thing. And of course, when it comes to the fun part, which is decorating, you can really go wild with your decoration. Maybe put some football spin on it, because remember, this is a competition. We are going to be judging your wonderful bakes. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you guys can do. So that sugar and butter has come together like so. Hopefully you can see that. It should be really nice and smooth. All of that sugar should be incorporated into the butter. And then we're just about ready for our eggs. So, as I said, we've got 4 eggs that need to go in here. So you can just break those in one at a time and then combine that into the mixture. So if there's a couple of you taking part in the bake along, you can share jobs. One of you can crack the eggs, another one can mix. There's lots of jobs to be shared around. Now we've also got our oven set to 180 degrees fan. So we're going to want those to be nice and hot by the time the cakes go into the oven. So if you haven't already done so, make sure that you set your oven to 180 degrees fan. So we're just going to get those eggs all incorporated into that mixture. A little bit of a workout on the biceps. And that should again come together nice and creamy mixture. And just keep mixing until all of those eggs are fully incorporated, because we want that to be nice and smooth before we add our final ingredient, which is our flour. Now, if you don't have self-raising flour, you can use plain flour. You just need to add a little bit of baking powder. I'm going for 8 ounces of self-raising flour here. There's always ways around things with baking. There's always something you can do. And I know it has been a little bit tough to get hold of some ingredients of late, so we'll work with whatever we've got. Right, so we're just about ready to add in our flour. So you should have a mixture that looks, something like that. Don't spill it like I have. We want that to go into our cake tins, not onto the surface. Nothing like making a bit of a mess. If you're anything like me in the kitchen, once you're finished and those cake goes in the oven, it looks like a bomb's hit it in here. It's a little bit messy. I'm not the tidiest chef, but that's okay. So next we're going to go ahead and add our flour. So you want to just do this a little bit at a time. So add maybe a third of the mixture in and give it a little mix. Now this is the point that we really don't want to over mix it, okay? Because we want to fully incorporate that flour. But by over mixing, you can kind of end up with a bit of a flat cake. We want to keep the air in our mixture, make sure we get a really lovely rise on those bakes. So we're going to use a technique called folding. So if you can kind of see that I'm folding the mixture around the bowl and almost sort of spooning the flour into that sugar and butter and egg mixture and just not over mixing. So it takes a bit more time doing this, but it just means that we're keeping those lovely air bubbles in our mixture. So keep on slowly adding that flour, and then it should start to come together and resemble cake batter. So as I said, this is the recipe for a basic Victoria sponge cake and also the basics for cupcakes. So the beauty of a very simple plain sponge is that you can kind of go crazy with what you do on the decoration side of things. Again, you can keep it nice and simple and just decorate with some strawberry jam and a bit of cream, maybe some buttercream for your cupcakes. Or you can get really crazy and maybe chuck some different flavours in there. And as I said earlier, you can maybe get a bit of a football theme going. That would be really great. But very much looking forward to seeing what you guys can do. I'm sure we've got many budding cooks out there. And of course, it's nice to do something with your friends and your family as well. Maybe you could kind of get a little competition going amongst the family. I know that that's probably going to cause a few arguments in the household, but it's nothing wrong with a bit of friendly rivalry. So guys, that's coming together, and I'm just going to get that final bit of flour into that mixture. So as I said earlier, it is a bit of a workout. It is quite hard work, but keep going, and you kind of get to the point where you can see that all of the mixture is combined. And as I said, you don't want any lumps. If you can see any flour, keep going, keep folding it in, keep working that mixture in. And you should have something that ends up like this. I'm going to show you now, but I'm going to try not to tip it out onto the side. So hopefully you can see that there. So a nice kind of smooth batter. And you should actually be able to see the air holes in it where you've kind of been folding it in and keeping that air in the mixture. So there we go, our mixture is done and dusted. A nice, easy recipe for you guys to get involved with. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, you can use this recipe for both cupcakes and for a Victoria sponge. So if you're using it for a Victoria sponge, what you're going to want to do is to line 2 baking sandwich trays with a bit of either baking parchment or some margarine, just to make sure that it's nice and easy when they come out of the oven to manipulate out of the tins to leave them to cool, like sponge. So as I said, these are nice and lined with some unsalted butter or margarine, whatever you have is perfect. And we're just going to equally spread that mixture between those 2 sandwich tins. So if you want to be really precise, you can actually weigh these and make sure that you've got the exact same in each tin. But I'm not being too fussy, I'm just going to pop them in, and you can kind of tell by looking at them that they've got the exact same amount. And I'm sure they will be just perfect when they come out of the oven. Now by this point, our oven should be ready and nice and heated for us. So as I said, you're going to want those to 180 degrees fan. Make sure they are fully preheated before the cakes go into the oven. I put them in the middle of the oven on the same tray so that they bake at the same rate. And we're going to leave those in there for about 25 minutes. If you want to maybe check on them after 20, that's fine, because all ovens are slightly different. If you just pop a knife or something like that into the middle of the cake, if it comes out clean, the batter's cooked through, you're good to go, your cakes can come out of the oven. If it comes out with a bit of cake batter on, you're going to want to leave it in there for a little bit longer. So there we go, I think we're almost ready for the oven. And if you're anything like me, at this point I get really hungry. I all of a sudden get really excited to just try the cakes. I'm sure you're the same. I bet everybody's kitchens are smelling absolutely wonderful right now. So there we go. We've got those sandwich tins all lined with our beautiful batter. Just going to make sure that they're nice and even, as I said. And then we can pop them into the oven. So I think they're about ready to go. What you can do, another little extra tip, is just pop them on the side for a couple of times. Just bash them on the side, and it kind of helps spread that batter out nice and evenly, so we get a nice even rise on the cake. Right, I'm going to pop them onto a baking tray, and then they are going to go into the oven, as I said, 180 degrees fan for about 25 minutes. Now, okay guys, so our Victoria sponge is out of the oven. Now they've been cooling on the cooling rack for about 20 to 25 minutes. You want to make sure they're really, really cool before you start decorating, especially as we're going to be using cream, and cream and hotcakes is not a very good combination. So as I said, I've let these cool completely. I've got it on a little cake stand now, the bottom layer. And the first thing we're going to want to do is pop a nice thick layer of strawberry jam on top. Now you can be as generous as you like here. I personally really like a good spread of jam. It's so nice to get that lovely hit of flavour when you bite into your cake. And of course, we're looking for lovely red and white bakes as well. So this is a nice little strip of red in the middle of your cakes. And once we add that cream in as well, it's going to be a lovely red and white centre. So I've got a piping bag filled with double cream. If you guys want to catch how I did that, how I whipped up the cream and popped it in the piping bag, just check out the cupcake video and you can see how I did that one. Right, so I've spread the jam nice and evenly across our bottom layer. Looks like it's a generous little helping, just like I wanted. So now we can go ahead and add the cream. Now, if you don't have a piping bag, if you're not confident with using one, it's not a problem. Victoria sponges look absolutely great when they're a little bit more rustic looking as well. So feel free to just spread it on top of the jam. Maybe you're a cream first kind of person, I don't know. I tend to go for jam first, but that's a whole different debate. You just do whatever you are happy with. So I've got the jam on, I'm gonna go in with the cream now. I like to kind of pipe little rosettes around the outside and then just sort of spread a little bit in the middle because you don't want too much cream. So we're just going to pipe little rosettes like this around the outside. It's looking very, very Saints themed already. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing there. So as I said, you don't want too much cream here. So trying not to go massively overboard. And then I'm just gonna do a little spread in the middle. Doesn't have to be neat because nobody sees that bit. And then we can just spread that out. And then we are ready for our top layer. So go ahead and add that on just like that. So there we go. Make sure the cream isn't squidging out the sides. That looks okay, doesn't it? A little bit wonky maybe, but there we go. And then I have the tiniest bit of icing sugar left. So what I like to do is just lightly dust the top because I think that gives a really nice little effect. And then you can finish maybe with another little dollop of cream on the top. And then you could maybe fan a strawberry or do a little cluster of strawberries. And I think that looks really pretty. Don't know if you can see a nice little, very basic Victoria sponge. And of course, most importantly, it's red and white, which is exactly what we want to see from your bakes. So to enter the competition, all you guys need to do is take a photo of your wonderful creations, make a donation to Saints Foundation Virgin Money giving page, and then upload your photo to social media. Make sure you tag us, or you can email us your photo. Just send it over to fundraising@saintsfoundation.co.uk. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with. All the very best of luck.